Hello everyone, and welcome back to the Samplify show. This is your host Sampath Patro, and thanks a lot for tuning in. For today's episode of the Samplify show, we have with us Avi Kathpalia. He's a great friend of mine, and he's no stranger to the show. He has been on the show before, around a year back, and I'm glad to have him. So thank you, Avi, for joining.
Thank you, Sampath. Really glad to be back again.
Yeah, me too. I'm glad. Anyways, for today's topic, we have changes in the dynamics. Now, as much confusing as the topic sounds, I'm sure the viewers are curious as to what it means. So, Avi, please explain them what does the topic actually mean?
Yeah, okay, I get it. Like the topic is super vague and really you don't know if it's economics, it's philosophy or what. But considering how the past year, like 2020 and until now 2021 has also went, there has been changes in a lot in our lives in aspects we can't even list. Like there's every day
Mhm.
something new coming up in our
Yeah, true.
friendships, in our relationships, so much aspects.
Mhm.
So today, I think that's what we'll discuss, that how the entire last year and like how was 2019, and then what in 2020, what changes came that the entire scenario was completely turned around in terms of friendship, in terms of relationship, etc.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, COVID pandemic, I mean, especially I cannot blame COVID pandemic, but the lockdown has affected a lot of relationships, I can say. I mean, personally, I have faced a lot of uh, my negative, relationships have been affected negatively. So yeah, what about it? Can you like explain it more about, or like, can you focus on a particular topic in it?
Yeah, so see, we all know the like types of relationship. Like one is the one you stay in the same city, you stay nearby, you meet
Mm-hmm.
regularly, and then one is a long distance thing where people stay in far off places and they're not able to meet regularly, or even in the
Right,
same
right.
city, like they live in the extreme corners. So in 2019, those who were living in long distance were in long distance, but then those who weren't, they suddenly they had to shift to long distance because in a way they were not able to come out
Mm-hmm.
of their houses, right? So for
True,
someone
true,
who's
true.
meeting every second day or once in a week or however frequently, and you're not
Mm-hmm.
able to do that, obviously that bothers. And then from that shifting to maybe calls, video calls, texts, it's tough. So I think majorly that was also affected because now even if you'd want to meet, like I don't think, I'm sorry to say this, but I know many of the relationships that have been destroyed due to the pandemic,
Mm-hmm.
and because of miscommunication mostly, because one
Yeah,
person not
true.
able to communicate to the other, and someone's busy with something, family issues, or a lot has happened. So
Yeah,
you
yeah.
can't really blame them also. But then that's what this has impacted. Like due to COVID, the people who used to meet daily, even friends, it's like let's say we used to meet daily in school, but then
Yeah,
we
yeah,
haven't, right,
true.
in the past 2 years worth. So
Mm-hmm.
that's what all these changes, they have impacted people in a way they themselves don't realize, and which is why like obviously behavior also changes by age, and once the change in behavior came, obviously like it had to affect the relationship in some way or the other.
So more than health, I mean, not, I cannot say more than health, but second to health, I guess the biggest impact that COVID had on us was personally on relationships. That's really true. And I felt this shift was like very sudden. Like even if it was a bit more gradual, then I think we would have been adapted to it. I feel now many people have been adapted to all the long distance relationships like you're talking about. But when the shift actually happened, which was in early 2019, I have totally lost when this actually started. I don't know. But whenever it started, I felt the change was pretty sudden. Like all of a sudden, you stop going anywhere, you stop meeting anyone else. And yeah, I guess that's what had impacted us mentally. Even relationships is obviously one of the big things, but other things, I guess, staying in a house 24 hours for several weeks, even that has had an impact. So can you focus on that? Like how staying in a lockdown, locked in a house in the lockdown, how has that impacted? Can we focus on that?
Yeah, so see, again, that example that let's say before the lockdown happened, we hung out, like let's say friends hung out every weekend, okay, like
Mm-hmm.
some cafe, some bar, somewhere
Right,
lunch,
right, right.
or after, like we're meeting daily in school, and then after that, like coming back home, doing all the studies, etc. And then next day morning going back to school again. That was the regular routine, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then when this happened, first 1 month, no one had online classes as well. Like no one got the idea for online classes in the
It
first
was
one
only a
month.
1 month thing. I think we all presumed it was a 1 month thing. Like Prime
Yeah,
Minister came on screen and he was like, "There will be a lockdown for a month." We were like, "Okay, fine. It's a vacation for a month. We'll have fun." And then we
exactly.
thought of it as a vacation, but then it just continued. That vacation continued for it's been 2 years now, and yeah,
Exactly. So, like when it started, it felt like okay, yeah, it's just a vacation. Now let's enjoy it.
yeah,
12th, the beginning, when this is happening, as like 12th will be fun. Finally, you can relax in 12th. But then, the reality came, it was May, June, July, August. It just kept increasing,
yeah,
and
yeah,
then the
yeah.
reality is this might never end. And then it's just that again, like it's just sudden, as you said, like this sudden shift.
Mm-hmm.
We were everybody was in a holiday mode, and then I think that holiday mode lasted pretty long. Like I think now we're coming to back to reality that okay, the holiday mode is over, and probably we have to study because if both had happened, I think we would have gotten out of that holiday mode, but then it didn't. So
Yeah.
that thing just continued. Like we were just coming in the mode to get back to the routine of studying and student life,
Mm-hmm.
and then that also got cancelled. So then we're back to that holiday mode. And now when the things are finally changing, like things are opening up, boards are
Yeah.
happening for the current batch, that too twice, and then colleges are opening up now. So with all of that, we can see that and it's so tough coming back to that routine. Even like I mean, I can't imagine going into an offline class and not sleeping in the first 1 hour. So
Right, right.
so all that is like unimaginable right now. And again, right now it's a gradual shift from this to what's gonna come. But then at that time it was so sudden that we got habituated to it. They say that
Mm-hmm.
you do something for 21 days, it becomes a habit,
Mm-hmm.
and for
Right, right,
90 days, it
right.
becomes a lifelong thing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
We've
yeah.
been in this for like 1.5 year. It's like so many 90 days.
Yeah.
So, you know,
I mean, majority of us had almost assumed that this is going to be the new normal. Like people, there was this new normal trending. These words are trending that this is going to be the new normal. We are not going back to the whatever it was before. We are not going back to that phase, and this is how the world is going to proceed now. I don't know if I say fortunately or unfortunately, we are, yes. I am glad, personally, I am glad that we are getting back to our normal lives like it was before. And yeah, I hope that everything is just like before. I'm sure the COVID protocols will be followed for a long time. I don't know if we 100% be able to get back to the phase that was before COVID. But yeah, that's what I think. And I hope that everything gets back to like normal, not the new normal, pretty soon.
actually, I'll just add, I'm actually kind of happy you got the new normal topic, but because you see, what was normal again like 2 years ago, and
Mm-hmm.
even if we are completely get rid of COVID, that COVID is not a thing anymore. Doesn't exist anymore. I don't think that normal will be back again because I know there's like that's a huge thing to say, but then I'll just give you a few evidences that recently in news it came that a couple, I think in US, like in US, a couple they were wearing masks and they weren't allowed to enter that restaurant. This got really popular in news. So
Mm-hmm.
because people think of wearing a mask like as a trauma now, get it?
Right, right. Mm-hmm.
So, like earlier, before that, before COVID, people used to wear masks. It was a thing. Wearing a
Yeah,
mask
yeah,
was a thing.
yeah.
That those who are not feeling well can wear a mask and then do their
Mm-hmm.
normal things, and nobody would
Mm-hmm.
mind. Obviously, people would stare that someone's wearing a mask, but then no one would mind. No one would restrict you entry because of that. But now, wearing a mask has become a trauma that we don't want to really, get back all those memories of what happened. Just
Yeah,
please
yeah,
don't wear
yeah.
a mask, especially in US because there the masks have been abolished. Right? There are no more mask wearing. Those who are vaccinated can roam without masks.
Mm-hmm.
So for them, it's like a huge, like thing that please don't wear a mask. It's like so it's something in the past. Don't get it back. So
Mm-hmm.
that's what I think that this is one evidence that even if things completely go off suddenly also gradually also whatever, coming back to what we were earlier is going to be really tough.
Yeah, there are certain aspects which we wouldn't want to recall had happened in the COVID time.
Yeah.
Okay, so Virat over here is saying you mean to say long distance relationships doesn't work. No, Virat, I don't think that is what we meant by long distance relationship being affected negatively. What we were saying is that people who have stayed in relationship, like who have been meeting daily, for them, having this shift, having this sudden shift to long distance relationship would have affected them negatively. And as Avi had put it, the communication gap, the people who are not used to all these, like lockdowns and all, to them it would have affected negatively. Is that right? Is that
Yeah,
have I missed something?
exactly. And other than that, also, if you see that those who were in long distance already, in
Hmm.
them also the routine change came, right? So earlier, if you're
Hmm.
habituated of talking it, let's say once in like at this time you talk daily. If one couple is
Right,
habituated of
right,
talking
right.
at that time, for them also entire routine change. They're sitting in the whole day with their families, so you don't know if they can talk or you don't know if they the same time might not be there. Obviously, there also chemistry change would be there. We're not saying that it's bad or it's not it cannot work. Just that it got really tough to handle those things.
Right, right, right. Very true. Okay, so Prisha has commented something. With relationships, it's more about the bond they share and the people in the relationship. People don't even succeed in relationships when they live literally 5 minutes away too. Well,
Yeah,
yeah, that's actually true.
true. Yeah, that's what like obviously when that the person is right, you don't the conditions don't matter. It's like people make it work from different continents also. So like different cities is still a small thing. People make it. We've known people who've made it work in different countries, different continents. I mean, my own parents are working it on different continents, so obviously. But then at the same time, it's like um, yeah, that when the person is right, these things don't matter. But then obviously there's a slight change in the routine of the person, so that's bound to change. I'm not saying that's bound to change the aspects of the relationship, but then that's bound to change the personal life of the person, like that one
Hmm.
part of the life that it was a like earlier things were going in a flow and suddenly that flow stopped and there's a new flow that's going to go in from
Hmm.
now on, and that would have changed few dynamics in that particular relationship. It can be
Right,
friendship
right,
or
right.
relationship, either way. That's what was the main thing.
So basically, when there's like a true relationship between two people, I'm not only saying about a love relationship, it can be friendship or it can be any type of relationship. But when it's true, one of the good characteristics that it puts into you is adaptability. So no matter what the situation is, you both just tend to get adapted to it. And yes, it does take some time, but yes, you get adapted to it if your relationship is true. And honestly, nothing can affect you to that extent which will end your relationship, I can say.
Right, exactly.
Right. Prisha has put in another comment. Also, COVID was a, you can say, tester for people. Yes, COVID was a tester for
Yeah.
people realizing how strong bonds are. A couple won't live together 24/7 for their entire life with ups and downs, and how with ups and downs is how life works if people pass by. I'm sorry I couldn't read it properly, but yes, I get what you're saying. And yes, COVID was actually a tester, even for me personally. It was actually a tester for my relationship, my personal relationships. And yes, if both people pass by the situation of staying away, it makes them stronger. That's very true. That's very true. And what I say is, you realize the importance of something when it isn't there.
Yeah.
And COVID was one of the tests, which made you realize the importance of the person actually physically being there in front of you. So that just makes you appreciate him or her or them more. So yes, that's my way of looking at it. Do you have anything
See,
to say?
yeah, I was gonna say that when I say things changed, I don't mean it in a negative sense that it's
Hmm.
gonna go downside. It it can get better also, right? I
Right, right.
personally like I have many online friends that I haven't met
Hmm. Hmm.
till
Hmm.
like, I haven't met ever like in a face to face thing, and I felt that our friendship or our bond had gone stronger and stronger in this pandemic than ever. Like I was friends with them for the past 2 to 3 years, but then I
Hmm.
wouldn't have talked so much if the thing were like if the school thing was going on and the school pressure was still
Hmm.
there.
Hmm. Hmm.
Because I was at home, I was able to talk to them maybe the entire day or like most of the time talking, whatever. So
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
things obviously for some people got better, as Prisha rightly said that it depends on the bond. Like if you pass the
Right,
test, it
right,
gets
right.
stronger, and if you're not able to, it gets weaker. So for
Hmm.
some people, it got the strongest it can ever be, and for some people, it's at its lowest that even a slight move can break it. So yeah,
Like she said, it was just a tester to see how
exactly,
true the relationship is. We realize
exactly.
values of little things we tend to overlook otherwise. Right, right,
Yeah.
right. True. Prisha has been very active. Thank you, Prisha, for that.
Obviously, that's what there are two things. You can see this in a negative aspect, you can see this in a positive aspect. For
Hmm.
me, it has personally been a parabola kind of a thing. Like it was up and down throughout
Hmm.
the 2 years. You know that the best, and like for some people it could have been gone downscale. But I can assure you this that if it was downscale for anyone, it will definitely go upscale. We've learned that in
True.
maths also. We've learned that in economics also. What goes down definitely comes up, and
The most
vice
general
versa also.
philosophy, yeah, the
Exactly.
most common philosophy about life anyone can know is like life has ups and downs. That's the most common thing everyone says about life. So yeah, I think there are pros and cons for it. For what, Prisha? I didn't get it. Avi, did you get it?
I think the COVID thing.
Oh, yeah, sorry, the virtual friendship thing. It has pros and cons. Well, yeah, it does have pros and cons. In fact, anything that we do or that we see or any aspect of life has its pros and cons, I feel. It's just a matter of perspective of what we focus on. That
True.
depends on how it impacts us.
It also comes down to the who the person is. Like for
Hmm.
someone who is more of an introvert in a real life, might be a totally opposite personality in online thing, or someone who is an introvert and maybe online could be totally opposite in when in face on a face to face basis. So it
Hmm.
depends on person to person as well, that and the bond that you create. Again, I've always said this to all my online friends, in fact, that if we have a great online bond, does not mean we might have the same same
Hmm.
bond offline as well. And it's a fact, that I mean, those who I have met for the first time face to face, it was very awkward, meeting someone. Like you've talked over a very long time, you've talked to them on Instagram or on WhatsApp, and then suddenly you meet one day, you don't know what to speak on
Yeah, yeah,
chat. You don't know what to speak, you just exit the chat, right? Or you double tap and you leave.
yeah.
But then when you face to face, you can't just double tap and leave, right? So
Yeah.
obviously it depends on relationship to relationship, friendship to friendship, that how it goes in real life and how it goes on
Mhm.
virtual life. So yeah.
Yeah, well, that's pretty true. So, thank you guys for joining on today's show. I hope it was informational. I hope you had fun listening to our conversation, and thank you for all the people who got involved in the conversation as well. And I'll meet you guys next Saturday, same time, live on Instagram. And make sure you follow me. Make sure you follow Avi to not miss out on any content. And yes, guys, I'll see you next weekend. And until then, take care, have fun, have a good day, and goodbye.
Bye bye.